Today we are in Psalm 24. We began this psalm yesterday. We read the whole thing. It's just 10 short verses, and it's a beautiful psalm of celebration of God's supremacy, the universal supremacy of God. Now, in a day of such fear and anxiety, in a day of such instability, there's not a greater truth to ground and root your heart in, to build your life upon, than the universal supremacy of God. And it's one thing to know He's supreme in the world and in the universe, but it's another thing to make Him supreme in my life and to truly just cast and rest everything on Him. Well, today, the verse before us is going to give us a reason, a really big reason why we can think that way, live that way, and kind of eradicate the fear of doing so. So many people are afraid to really follow Jesus as Lord. They trust Him as Savior, but they're not sure they want to follow Him as Lord. And that doesn't really even make sense. It's incoherent. It's purely emotional. If you can trust Him to save your soul, you can trust Him with every microscopic detail, every unfolding circumstance of your life in the here and now. If you can rest in Him for eternity, you gotta know you can rest in Him right now, today. Well, what does verse 1 say? And we're just going to look at verse 1 today. The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof, the world, and they that dwell therein. The earth, well, that's where we live, right? Planet Earth, and it's kind of a messy place right now. We've kind of made a mess of it. I was in the Bay Area not long ago because Dana's grandmother passed away, and she lived there, in California Bay Area, and I lived there as a teenager. Dana grew up there. And as we were back in the Bay Area, we were really taken back at how the area had declined. And it's kind of this mashing together. It's kind of an apocalyptic collision of two worlds. You have literally on one block buildings that look like spaceships. I mean, they're just the tech industry's, big campuses. And then right across the street, you'll have literally like a slum. Or like a broken down neighborhood or apartment complex with graffiti, and then right across the other corner you'll have people living in tents, homeless under bridges. It's the weirdest collision of prosperity and oppression. And my friend texted me. I told him I was in the Bay Area. He said the Bay Area is a perfect example of how man takes a beautiful thing and destroys it. And he was so right. The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof. What is David celebrating? David is pronouncing, by the inspiration of God and the declaration of God, that everything on this planet belongs to God, including you and me, but in the fullness of all of it. In other words, all of the resources, all of the crops and gains, grains and gains, all of the treasure, all of the precious metal, every bit of wealth, every bit of natural resource, everything that man has used and can use to create, to build, and everything that man builds. And look at this. The world, the idea here of the world means all of earth and its substance, every single bit of it, every single thing. And then they that dwell therein. That means you and me and every human being on the planet. God has the title claim to every single thing that exists on this planet. It is in its inception, in its creation, it is the work of His hands. Now it has been hijacked. It has been marred. Satan and his rebellion has taken short-term occupation of what is God's, and Satan has done his best to destroy it and to bring darkness to bear. But David recounts in this verse what we need to build our lives upon, that this is God's, and what is happening is not of God, but He is permitting it for the short term to bring about redemption. Now, this is a big subject, friends, and I can't dive too much into this. You know, when you look at the narrative of the Bible, you have eternity before creation, and you have eternity after creation, after time and space. And you have a rebellion, and then you have creation. And then you have the fall. And they have creation unfolding in a fallen state. And when all is said and done, at the end of the biblical narrative, you have Jesus supreme, enthroned as king. You have evil and death conquered, sin and death conquered and banished forever, and Satan banished forever. And you have a new creation that will be forever and ever and ever. So think about this. You have a creation that is fallen at the beginning of the story, and at the end of the story, you have a new creation that can never fall and that can never be corrupted again. And then everything, you and me, and everything that time and history has written fits in between those bookends, creation and new creation. God will redeem his creation because it's his. He has the title deed to it. And Revelation tells us that he will redeem it. He will recreate it and make it all new, just as right now he wants to make you new and me new. So that's the cosmic view of it. But let's get up close and let's think about the personal view of this. That means that everything I possess, everything I could produce, everything I could experience in my life, everything I can achieve in my life, every material thing about me belongs to God. And my possessions, my resources, my money, my things are on loan from him to me. This is my portion. This is my lot. This is my stewardship. And so let me ask you this. As God, and as we celebrate the universal supremacy of God in all of creation, do you live today? Do you live normally in the light of the reality that you are God's and you are not your own, and that everything you have is God's? Are you a faithful steward? Are you stewarding these things for your own self, for your own glory, for your own pleasure alone? By the way, pleasure in itself is not sinful. God gives us things to enjoy. But are you stewarding them in the light of your accountability to God? Are you stewarding them for his purposes, for his kingdom, for those you love? And are you giving him glory in the way you steward what is already his? My friend, we can take great comfort, we can take great stability and durability in the sense that wherever this world is, whatever we see unfolding around us, it's still God's. He will redeem it. He is in charge. And whatever's unfolding is permitted by him for but a season. And he will be king. But then we can take it practically and up close and personally. And we can say this, I want to live, I want to steward everything I have today. It's opportunities, the time before me, the relationships before me, the material things in my possession. I want to steward these things for the very owner of them. I want God to be supreme in my living, not just in my existence. Hey, happy Tuesday. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you tomorrow.